This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Huss and Reem with you. We got a packed show today. Mike McIntyre is going to join us. We'll dive into a bunch of Jets topics as the NHL Off-Season is officially underway, and we have a trade to announce. There wasn't actually a deal this morning between the Leafs and the Flyers. We'll get to that in a minute. But some big news about how we watch hockey in Canada, the end of Hockey Night in Canada. We will touch on that, as well as the latest from the coaching searching ranks involving the Edmonton Oilers. And looks like the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be needing to coach too, because Torts is not coming back to Vegas. What a bizarre run for John Tortorella. Going to the Cup final with the Golden Knights. He coached more playoff games than he coached regular season games in Vegas. There can't be a very long list of NHL coaches that did that ever for a team. I mean, I do think of like Larry Robinson and Lou Lamoriello appointed himself late in the season, and Jersey went on long runs. But that's a very weird scenario. I do think Vegas is going to probably promote their AHL coach. I think that would be the most likely ending, and that's not any inside info, just things that we've heard throughout the playoffs as to depending on how things went with Torts. But the fact that he's not coming back, where does that leave the Oilers? The Babcock investigation goes on. There's a lot to get to. I cannot wait. Rob Gale's going to join me first up today. We're going to talk Canada. We're going to talk World Cup. The big game, Thursday afternoon, 5 p.m. Winnipeg time. Canada versus Qatar, looking for our first ever win in the World Cup and a victory that would all but likely confirm Canada's spot in the knockout round. Really looking forward to that and get his thoughts on the tournament overall so far. We got a full slate of games today, beginning at 2 p.m. What is it? France and Senegal, I believe. First up, Iraq and Norway get a chance to see really three of the greatest goal scorers on the planet. Mbappe with France in the first game, Haaland with Norway in the game Norway-Iraq, and then the GOAT, Messi, up against Algeria with the Argentines. And it's funny, I'm just looking at Coolbet and looking at the map, and the Algeria flag is like green and white, which reminds me of Saudi Arabia, which reminds me of the fact that the Saudis beat Argentina in the opening game of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Probably my greatest memory of being there outside of at the games. We were at the Fan Fest for the second half of Saudi Arabia and Argentina, and watching everybody go crazy after that win was something that really kind of stuck with me. I do like Messi and the Argentines today. And then Remis loves the West Coast games. How about 9 p.m. local West Coast starts? 11 p.m. tonight, Austria and Jordan finishing up today's World Cup slate. So we're going to talk to Rob Gale about all of that. Mike McIntyre with some puck talk. And then we're going to talk a little Jays and a little Sea-Bears. Josh Goldberg's going to jump on the program. And the Slat Man, Joey Slattery, as the Sea-Bears get ready for their next game on Thursday. Great to see everyone with the shout out to all you podcast listeners. Welcome to the gang that's with us live on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. And a huge thank you to all of our sponsors that make WSD happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at Coolbet Canada. If you're getting ready for the golf, the US Open, this week. Starts on Thursday at Shinnecock. Jake, Pat, and myself broke it down for about an hour today on the channel. It's up on the YouTube. WST winners with our favorite picks. Whole bunch of other stuff we cooked up over at Coolbet for it. So give that a listen. And if you do, leave a comment with your projected winner in the comments of the WST winners. If you nail it, maybe we'll hook you up with something. The other thing I should mention about just before we get to Reem, Coolbet, we've got the U.S. Open contest, completely free to play, much like our WST CFL Pick'em contest. You'll find it in the same spot. If you go to Coolbet Leagues, which is at the bottom left corner under Sports on your desktop, if you are on your phone, you're going to go to the bottom, click on More. You'll find it there. Don't go in the PGA one. That's a private one for PGA of Canada members. But there is one. The Cool Bear is wearing a green vest, I believe. That's the one you want in. Make your picks, and then just make sure to get your picks in before each subsequent round. First place is $500. Second place, $250. Third place, $150. $150 for fourth and fifth. Completely free. So especially if you're already doing the CFL Pick'em, when you do there, click on that one, get in as well with great chance to win. Also want to thank Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the Tri-Hospital Lottery, Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake, Wilderness Lodge, Breezy Bend and Royal Sports, St. Vital Dental Center, Rowley's Transfer, Assiniboia Downs. They're back at it tonight. We'll have picks coming up in a bit. Gold Eyes, Travel Manitoba, Little Brown Jug, and Boston Pizza. Do not forget, Thursday, we're going to be live at BP Taylor, doing the show from 1 till after 3 p.m. We'll be watching the Swiss-Bosnia game, and then 5 o'clock, it's Canada-Qatar. Canada Red watch parties at all local BPs for all Canada games. All right, let's get this show on the road. Michael Remis joins us as well. We will, of course, get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp. And just a second, I've got a beauty for you today. Remo, what's up?
Hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm just ready, gearing up here. NHL Off-Season. It's official. This is day one now of the off-season. Yesterday was a day to recap, everything that happened at the Cup final. Congratulations to Carolina. I've been seeing all their, celebration in the club, in the bar, in rally. Exciting times for them. But we're turning the page. The NHL off-season hot. So we already had a trade today involving the Toronto Maple Leafs. Pretty minor one, not the name everyone thinks is going to get traded in Morgan Riley. But here we are, the draft next week. Hot stove. Should be a busy couple weeks. And yes, T-Will, I did put Hellebuck on the thumbnail. Maybe some people would click on, although there's nothing other than what we said yesterday there.
Yeah, empty. A bunch of rando podcasts are saying they're hearing things and they're unconfirmed. That's the latest on Helly. But I'll tell you what. I mean, listen, there is a bunch of things to talk about in hockey today. First off, this trade. Joseph Woll, and this is funny, this happened while we were doing WST winners. So, of course, Jake and Pat are in TO, big-time Leaf guys. They're like, what the heck? He just got traded? And it was a goalie-for-goalie swap, Remo, but a defenseman included in the deal. Fill us in.
Yes, we have a trade to announce, and I wonder how much we're going to be saying that here over these next couple weeks, but the Flyers and the Maple Leafs making a deal. Toronto gets defenseman Emile Andre, Samuel Urson, and a third-round pick in 2026. Both those players are RFAs for goaltender Joseph Woll and defenseman Simon Benoit. So John Chaika, with his first move, his first move was firing the coach, but his first player transaction as GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll see how they look going into next year, but I'm intrigued by what John Chaika and Matt Sundin are going to do.
It's funny that we've been talking so much about the Oilers coaching search. I forgot that the Leafs don't have a coach right now as well. And usually that's not the case. Like, that's just how crazy dysfunctional what a soap opera the Edmonton situation is. is that the Leafs of all teams are somewhat of an afterthought. Although Mark Masters is reporting that the Leafs are in the final phase of their coaching search. They're getting down to decision time, and it should come in the next few days. So that'll be something that we'll be paying attention to as well. But Remo, the big news today, and this was just announced by Sportsnet about a couple hours ago. I'll just read it from Sportsnet PR. After a successful 12-year partnership, Sportsnet and CBC today announced the public broadcaster will no longer carry NHL broadcasts after the current season as it moves forward with a new sports programming strategy following the unprecedented success of the Milano Cortina Olympic Games. Watching hockey on Saturday night is a time-honored tradition for Canadians, and Sportsnet is privileged to continue delivering that tradition. This has been a terrific partnership, and both parties look to continued opportunities to collaborate in the future. So they'll still work together on things like the Olympics, but the NHL that Sportsnet's paying however many $1 billion to get, that's going to be on Sportsnet properties going forward. And it is weird, Remo, because I'm pretty sure CBC still sort of owns the trademarks Hockey Night in Canada. TSN owns the music for Hockey Night in Canada. From my read of this situation, this is the end of Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday nights on CBC. I don't think it's going to change anything for viewers. I mean, the game, if you have TV, even a basic cable package, I believe you get the one Sportsnet channel. So you're going to get a game. When there's multiple games, they'll probably be on multiple Sportsnets. They might use City TV as well. But the bottom line is just automatically going to old Channel 2 on Saturday night, which has been a time-honored tradition in this country for decades, I think has run its course, and that's it.
Yeah, so in 2013, Rogers took over the national contract, $5.2 billion. That just expired. This was the last year. So Game 6 was the last game that we will see officially on CBC, what's been known as Hockey Night in Canada. And the new deal kicks in at the start of next season, 12-year, $11.2 billion contract. And how it worked in the last deal, Sportsnet just showed their own games on CBC, and CBC didn't get any revenue from it. They gave up valuable, potential time slots.
They also didn't pay anything.
They didn't pay, but they didn't get anything out of it. And now they're going to be launching a show on Saturday night, they'll increase coverage of Olympic sports, and a Saturday primetime show highlighting some of the Canadian athletes competing at home and at the biggest events around the world. Maybe one like we saw Tyler Mizlachuk of Oak Bluff win over the weekend. Shout out to Tyler. So interesting that we won't see Hockey Night in Canada. It is an anywhere. We all grew up watching it. Whoever your commentator was, for me, it was Bob Cole and Harry Neal and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's certainly sad that you don't have the theme song. Like, I don't even know what the theme song is now. It was so iconic before. They've changed it a couple times since. And you won't have the Hockey Night in Canada branding. What happens with the towels? It's probably going to be like Sportsnet Saturday Night Hockey or something. And
the towels. I never thought about the towels. And after hours, obviously Scott Oak is retiring. The end of this deal, this is what I'm not sure a lot of people knew. So Sportsnet did that 12-year deal, kind of swooping in and buying it all when all the TSN execs were with us at the Grey Cup in Regina. I will never forget that conversation with Mark Mayhew before we jumped on the plane when it was all happening as just a lowly Bell employee, TSN employee at that time. But that was earth-shattering news in the industry. And, excuse me, once they got it, they had to figure out how they were going to work this out. And part of it was doing a deal with the CBC to maintain Hockey Night in Canada and have it there. And they obviously they sold the ads, they gave them the product because CBC they didn't want to put out the money that it was going to take to buy the NHL rights. And obviously Sportsnet had done that and they owned it all. This was always going to be the end of the deal. Now they re-upped it for billions of dollars. But you knew some things were going to change. And, for those of you that follow sort of the sports media landscape in Canada, it had been reported by a number of people that at the end of this term, every single person that worked on the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast, the Sportsnet broadcasts, their contracts were up. And we were going to see some changes. And I know Jonas Siegel, who's one of the real go-to guys, said most of the staff would be taking pay cuts or at minimum staying where they were, depending on what the remuneration was. I got a feeling Kevin Bieksa is getting a raise. I'll just say that right now. But I do think that there's the real potential that, the way things look, where we get it, obviously we used to get it for a long time Saturday nights on CBC, and who's delivering that might, in fact, probably will look significantly different next year when the puck drops on the new season.
Yeah, I'm really interested how the broadcasts are going to look, and Dave Pagnotta was reporting a couple weeks ago that you could have Amazon Prime with their national game instead of Monday be on Wednesday, and there's some talk of Bell getting back into the national rights with a weekly game as well. So we'll have to see how this shakes out, but Sportsnet getting a major look. Personally, it's not going to affect my viewing habits. Like, I get all the Sportsnets, and, I guess I'm not going to get the CBC news immediately after and then have to switch to Sportsnet to watch the post game. It happened to me. But it is sad that the end of, the brand, end of, the tradition that was Hockey Night in Canada, when you only had a couple channels. That's what you did on Saturday night, and it looks completely different, and it'll have a different name. It's fine. My son's watching hockey. He's getting into hockey. How old is he? 6, turning 7. And he's like, Hockey Night in Canada? What's that? Doesn't even know really what it is anymore. So the world is changing. We're all getting old, and sports is too much money for the public broadcaster to pay the big dollars. So you have Sportsnet coming in and Amazon, and we're experiencing it in the CBC as well. We'll have to get DAZN for the Saturday night 6 p.m. game. So I don't know. So we'll see. We will see what happens with the branding for next year.
Well, never mind the branding. To me, what's interesting is who's going to be back. And there's your why not question of the day for Not Autocorp over at Waverly and McGillivray. Who do you think is going to be back next year? Who's safe? I mean, to be honest with you, the only guy that I'll put out there that is a lock no-brainer and probably is the linchpin to everything they do is Bieksa. We didn't touch on this yesterday, but Ron McLean, oh my God, Ron McLean had a rough one in Game 6. If you caught the start of the broadcast, they did this sort of hangover-themed intro with Bukowskis up on a rooftop, and the bit was kind of like The Hangover, that they'd been out with the Stanley Cup, and I believe it was Phil Pritchard, who's the keeper of the cup, was in shorts and flip-flops and sort of pretending he was passed out on the couch, and next to him was the Stanley Cup, and Kyle went and talked to him, and they were on a roof. And Ron, who is always working so hard to have a pun that pops, made a very unfortunate pun involving roofies. Now, he was trying to make a joke about the fact that they were on the roof, but when you have a passed out person and you say the roofies will always get you, I'm paraphrasing, but that was basically what he said. I mean, my jaw dropped. I said, did he actually say that? I'm not a big cancel guy. I mean, I think it was an honest mistake, a dumb one, but whatever. I mean, it happened. And he, of course, apologized later on during the broadcast, because I think a lot of people were going are you kidding me? But Remo, the weird thing is, I was pretty sure that Ron McLean was done no matter what at the end of this. He's been around for a long time. after the whole Cherry thing, he became somewhat radioactive to some people. And he's been around for a really long time. And to be honest, that is a product that I think needs a lot of freshening up when you compare it to like when you get a chance to see like the TNT broadcast, for instance, and what they've done with their panel. So I think BX is back, but I think the jury's out on just about everybody else there. And in fact, I'll go on record right now saying I'll bet money that Ron won't be back, but I don't think it's about a stupid pun that fell flat in Game 6 of the Cup final. I think that was probably the plan all along, knowing that it was the end of these contracts.
Yeah, that was, you messaged me, did you hear that? And then he did the apology during the game. I thought he was saying a line from the movie The Hangover and maybe didn't realize. I'm not getting too up in arms about that, but it is interesting what's going to happen to the broadcast, and it's hard not to notice the star power of the U.S. broadcast, where you have Wayne Gretzky, you have Mark Messier, PK Subban, Henrik Lundqvist, and Sportsnet. They don't exactly have players that have had that kind of NHL career, and I don't think they have any Hall of Famers on their panel. So will something change? What will it look like? How will Amazon continue? The way we're watching hockey, again, evolving, or all sports certainly evolving. And the domino fell today with CBC and Sportsnet not renewing their agreement to show games. And I'm seeing people in chat, definitely sad that it was a tradition, Hockey Night in Canada, ordering pizza, sitting down, watching the Maple Leafs.
You think that's not changing? Like, that is not changing. Like, it's just not going to be called Hockey Night in Canada. It's not going to be on CBC. Like, there's still going to be NHL games scheduled on Saturday night. You're still going to be able to watch them on TV. This is not
it's not the same. It's not going to have the theme song.
End of a branding era.
It's not going to have the towel. It's not going to have the towel. Not going to have the theme song. It's not going to be Hockey Night in Canada.
Well, there won't be After Hours. I mean, unless maybe they relaunch After Hours with somebody. Obviously Scott Oak has finished up as well.
It's going to be Sportsnet Saturday Night Hockey, corporatified, whatever's going on in the world today, Huss. It's not.
Well, I really hope that they completely revamp the panel and get some new people on it. And listen, I know there's a lot of people pulling, like the decision makers at these companies, especially if you were on CBC. I mean, there is, and listen, I don't want this to come out the wrong way. I listen, I think they're trying to check off a lot of boxes, and to make it happen. And I don't think that they have. How do I say this without getting myself in trouble? I think they've focused on, hey, we need this sort of a person, we need a woman, we need all this stuff, and they put it together, and it was fine. And then you look at like the TNT panel with a bunch of NHL legends that have real chemistry and are entertaining together, and it was much better. And listen, the standard is inside the NBA. I mean, it's Ernie Johnson, and it's Shaq, it's Kenny, and it's Charles Barkley. And they have a connection that is so unique, a chemistry. And I mean, I'll compare it to something like Overdrive. I mean, why is Overdrive such a great show? I mean, there's a million people talking about sports. It's the comedy and character of O-Dog. It's the professionalism of Brian Hayes and their connection working off each other. Noodles as well. And it's made great. So I'm not sure whether they go and they just try and get real hockey-focused people. And listen, I think Jen Botterill, hockey-wise, is brilliant. I mean, she understands the game and all that. She's just not that entertaining. And there's not really a lot of chemistry with the other people around. So, I mean, Cheryl Pounder to me is the best female in the business. I mean, she does an incredible job on TSN. But if they could get somewhere, I've always thought Tessa Bonhomme could hang with those other guys. She played at the Olympic level for a long time, has a great personality that I think would really click with BXs of the world. So I don't know. They got a big job to do. They're spending a ton of money on it, and I know they're not looking to expand expenditures when it comes to the their talent, but I think that they maybe are going to have to do, because Reem, I'm sure you'd agree that what the American broadcasters done for the NHL has really sort of raised the bar, and I think put some pressure on Sportsnet to kind of reconsider the way they're delivering NHL hockey.
Yeah, it seems like, the last couple of years been focused on, saving money to pay for the big contract. So I'm curious if there's going to be changes. I'm actually curious what their draft coverage is going to look like, because what they kind of been splitting the first night and then just taking the NHL Network for the second. But that is the big news today here, Huss, with people up in arms. It's no longer on CBC, but if you had cable and you had Sportsnet, you got, as you said, you got it anyways. It's not really changing aside from the branding.
Yeah, no doubt. The one thing I will say this, and I know there's some out there that have very strong opinions on Ron MacLean. The guy's had an incredible career. I think it's likely that was probably his last game, and really unfortunate that last game involved one of the bigger gaffes, I would argue, of his career. But we moved. Listen, I think Rob Gale's going to join us in just a couple of minutes. We're going to talk a little soccer. I got to give a shout out to was it Craig G at the top? He mentioned, where is this shot right here? About to head out to Edmonton and then to Vancouver to support the boys. Yeah, here it is. Chris G&P. Chris Gant, heading to Edmonton International Airport to fly to Vancouver right now to catch Canada-Qatar Thursday. Let's go, Canada. That's what we like to hear, Chris. As I said to Iwanek, I went to Qatar. I saw the first Canadian goal in the World Cup. I went to Toronto to see the first point in the World Cup. I now hand the baton to you guys to go to Vancouver and see the first victory for Canada in the World Cup. Cannot wait to see many of you, if you want to join us live at BP for the show Thursday afternoon at Boston Pizza Taylor. We'll fire it up at 1 p.m. Folks, we're counting down to the 25th at midnight, which is the deadline for the Tri-Hospital Lottery in support of the St. Boniface Hospital, the HSC, and the HSC Children's Hospital. This features the biggest grand prize ever. Your choice of one of 5 $1.7 million dream home packages or $1.35 million cash, and that's tax-free. But there's more right now. If you head over to the site at tryhospitaldream.com, get your tickets for that. The 50-50 Plus is Manitoba's biggest unlimited summer jackpot. It is just about a $1.2 million bucks, which means almost $600,000 for the winner. And you can also get in on the Extra Cash Plus, 125 winners with $170,000 in all cash prizes. It's all in support of our 3 major hospitals doing incredibly important work in our community. Support the lottery, and maybe you can be Manitoba's next millionaire. Go to tryhospitaldream.com to get your tickets. You can also pop by your local London Drugs or Red River Co-op location to grab your tickets there. Our friends at Cleanline have been the go-to plumbers in town for over 40 years, and unfortunately, I think everyone in the plumbing business has been pretty busy over the last week since that monster storm we got, a historic one in some areas last week. Cleanline, though, is the leaders in residential and commercial plumbing, along with heating and electrical services, and are the most trusted plumbers with 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Schedule an appointment if you'd like at cleanline.ca, but make sure to remember the number 204-500-2001. 24/7 emergency services available for Cleanline. You won't want to call them, but when you need them, they are there for you. Hey, Bombers off this week. Back at home next week against the Edmonton Elks. Bombers the only team on a week 3 bye. They'll be looking to power up for next week. And, of course, the Bombers this year powered by Manitoba Battery, a great longtime sponsor of ours, and your local option for the best in batteries for literally everything. Of course, they're getting us through the hard Winnipeg winter in our vehicles. Right now, though, dirt bikes, motorcycles, boats, RVs, ATVs, golf carts, whatever you need a battery for, Manitoba Battery will have it, and they will have the best price in town. Take that to the bank. They beat the pants off the big box stores, so you can shop local, save money, and get the best in customer service too at one of their 2 locations, Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive on the south end of the city. For all your battery needs, make it Manitoba Battery. They'll also deliver inside the perimeter. Check it out today at manitobabattery.com. And hey, if you got a move coming up, folks, holler at the guys at Rollies. Man, they've been doing some great stuff. You might see that WST moving truck running around the city right now. Go to Rollies.com for all the information on Rollies. Family owned and operated for over 60 years. Top right corner, you can click on request an estimate. Use the promo code WST for a 100%, for a special discount, not 100%, a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. And then let them know when and where you're planning on moving and what needs to go. And the fellas at Rollies will turn around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rollies, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today online at Rollies.com. All right, hopefully going to get Rob Gale on with us to talk a little World Cup soccer. But we're going to do a power poll in just a second. I know we got talking about Hockey Night in Canada quite a bit. But I did just put together something for this afternoon. If you want to ride with me on the World Cup, and it was all ties yesterday, crazy. We'll ask Rob just how insane that was. But if you go to the Coolbet and go to the exclusives right now before 2 p.m., we've got a special ride with us. It is France to win, Norway to win, Argentina to win. They're all pretty significant favorites. And man, we got Mbappe, Haaland, and Messi all playing today. But those together, not so much. I'm calling 2 goals for Erling Haaland today against Iraq. So France, Norway, Argentina, all to win, and Haaland to score 2+ goals. The boys have a nice little boost to plus 625. So I'm in on that. If you want to ride with me, jump on it now. Not in the combo cards. It's in the exclusives. In the tab, you'll see Winnipeg Sports Talk Parlay. Jump on that right now. And hopefully we can get a nice winner for it. Listen, Remo, while we wait for and hopefully get Rob on the show, why don't we do a little Chud's Power Sports Power Poll for our friends at Chud's, the go-to folks. The Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore for over 80 years. The go-to guys for motorcycles, RVs, boats, outboard motors, golf carts, you name it. Frankly, all the stuff that you want batteries at Manitoba Battery for, you can get them at Chud's. And I know Chud's carries Manitoba Battery products as well. And what are we going to do today, Reem? You're going to fire up 5 GMs under pressure, and I'm going to try to, under pressure as we get into this off-season in these next couple weeks, and I'm going to blind rank these. You sent the link to Rob, hey?
Yeah, I sent it to him. I think I may have sent it, and it didn't go through, but I did send it just now. I'll resend it.
We resent it. In your email. Sorry. Okay, so we're starting off with Stan Bowman. Where do I go with Stan Bowman? Because at this point, Reem, I mean, it's debatable whether he even is the GM of the Oilers. Again, it might be Connor McDavid. I mean, McDavid's the one that's meeting with coaches and then suggesting them forward for them to go. So I'm going to go. I think we got to go with 3. I'm going to put him right in the middle because there's no doubt He is under immense pressure to get things done. But again, how much of it is his, and do people even realize that how involved the players are in this? Anyways, Bowman's going to go number 3. Jarmo Kekalainen. Well, listen, Jarmo took over a team that was built by Kevin Adams. They went on an absolute tear before he did anything. And his one big move was acquiring Luke Schenn and Logan Stanley. There are high expectations for Buffalo to build off of this incredible season they just had. 15 years in the making. But considering some of the guys that I expect that we're going to see on this list, I think he's pretty low. I'm going to go 5 for Jarmo. Chevy. Well, this is one, Reem, I guess it kind of depends who you talk to. Because I think if you polled most Winnipeg Jet fans, Cheveldayoff is under a ton of pressure. I think he feels that pressure based on just how poorly the last 12, 15 months have gone for him after putting together a team that won the President's Trophy. I would normally put him 1 or 2, but I kind of think that 4 is more the spot for Chevy, because I think we all agree it's been quite clear from the organization that they are not looking to move off of their GM. Now, the pressure to get this thing forward is more coming from the players. We all been talking nonstop about what Hrabchak had to say. There is an expectation that they can't have an off-season like they did last year, where you're bringing guys that make the team worse, that do nothing, and having the team take a step back the way they did. This team needs to build a team that makes last season a mulligan and is back in contention. Whether that's possible, we'll see. Chevy is at number 4. Wow, Steve Yzerman. I think Stevie Y might be the number 1 guy on that list. I think I'm going with Steve Yzerman. Not only did his team spend like 90%, 95% of the season in a playoff spot and fall apart at the end again, his captain, homegrown Dylan Larkin, has now asked for a trade, and it's gotten very public. It's been a long time under the Yzer plan, and they haven't been to the playoffs. To me, this feels like maybe, and again, maybe he's like Chevy. Maybe the Ilitches believe in so much that he won't get fired. I'm not sure if he has that sort of stroke, but at some point the rubber's going to hit the road. Either the team's going to make the playoffs and be there, or maybe they go a different direction. But when you add in the Larkin situation and all that, combined with the disappointment of last year, I think Yzerman's number 1. Which brings us to number 2, and John Chayka. Well, this is interesting. And listen, this is all depends on how you feel and describe pressure. Because Chayka just got the job. I mean, he's not getting fired anytime soon. But this was such a highly criticized move. There's a lot of people that don't like John Chayka and don't respect him. And that was everywhere when it got done. So I think the expectations are, certainly from Keith Pelly, that he's going to make this team more competitive this year. While at the same time, many people think a better route, many people say this about the Jets and probably a few teams on this list, not named Edmonton or Buffalo, is time for a rebuild. But Chayka, this is the thing about the blind power poll, the blind ranking. I might actually move him down at the end in between Chevy and Jarmo, or maybe at the bottom. But Chayka certainly has a spotlight on him, unlike most general managers in the NHL. That is the Chuds Power Sports Power Poll for Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore, Chuds Power Sports, up in Gimli. Reem, now that I have done the blind ranking, how would you rank those 5 GMs?
Yeah, I think that these are, Yarmo came in and inherited this amazing team, Huss, and then made a move where those players had zero impact on the playoffs. Inherited the team from Kevin Adams, who got fired, and then they took off. Built that entire team. What a situation there. I'm okay with it. I would maybe put Stan Bowman at number 1. I think the pressure there is immense. It's Edmonton. They have Connor McDavid. He's in year 1 of his 2-year deal. They need to win. They did not have a roster that was a Stanley Cup final worthy roster like they did the 2 previous seasons. I'm very curious what they're going to do. How are they going to get back, past the first round at least? And what moves are they going to make? How are they going to navigate the Darnell Nurse situation? I think a lot of pressure on Kevin Cheveldayoff going from President's Trophy to what they did this season, then watching the guy that you let walk for nothing lift the Stanley Cup with Carolina. It's got to hurt. They have the 8th overall pick. There's a lot of noise, according to Elliot Friedman, surrounding their goaltender who's under contract. And there's a lot of holes on the roster and not a great prospect system. So I'm very curious, how are the Jets going to navigate this, as they say they're in win now mode. And John Chaika, always pressure in Toronto, a lot of media, a lot of eyes. They also had a big drop-off season where the guy who they let walk for nothing, was in the Stanley Cup final with Vegas. So maybe I would put Yzerman and Kekalainen down. Maybe I'd put the Canadian guys a bit higher, seemingly more pressure. But for Yzerman, this is a franchise legend. He's kind of tarnishing I don't think he could ever tarnish it with the cups he won as a player, but it hasn't been a great decade here of the Yzer plan for Steve Yzerman. And I was very high on him after his time in Tampa Bay. Maybe they haven't been lucky with the lottery. I think that has been helped. But the high picks that they have hit or have had, like Philip Zadina, haven't been impact players.
No, he hasn't been great. Sider's been a great pick. Lucas Raymond's been a pretty good pick. We'll see about Edmondson and some of those other guys. Phyllis says Stevie Y is definitely number 1. Stonewall Dave says, I agree with Huss's ranking for Chevry, considering the actual pressure on him from his boss is far less than it should be. That's reality, sadly. I think there's a pressure to win, but they're not having a gun to the guy's head saying they're going to fire him. In fact, they're supporting him. That's the way they have worked for, a long time. Samster from 1st to 26th, and he's only ranked 4th. LOL, the blinders on this market is insane. I don't know whether you're meaning like blinders on me. I kind of explained. They're pretty clear. They're not firing him. So that's why he's not at number 1. But to be frank, would you say there's more pressure on Chevy than Yzerman? Listen, there's no doubt that the Jets had a bad year last year. But, are you blaming that all on the general manager? That's why it's kind of funny with the conversation about Hellebuck, in that, Hellebuck came out and said what he had to say, but didn't really speak to the fact that he had a down year. Was that not a big part of where the team was? Now, I'm not sitting here blaming Hellebuck. I think I'm a big, big Helly guy. I don't want him to go anywhere. And I do understand his frustration. But, there was a bunch of guys that had down years. They had some bad injuries. And obviously, the team took a big step personnel-wise. But, do you take a team, put it this way. Say the Hurricanes. Now, they just won the Cup. Maybe that's a bad example. But, Montreal, for instance. So Montreal gets to the conference final. Is a great one. Say they have some bad injuries, they have a bad offseason, and they go back to where the Jets were this year and miss the playoffs. Do you think that there'll be some pressure on those guys for sure, but they're not getting fired. So I don't know. I think that, as I said, Chevy would be higher on this list if it wasn't pretty clear and evident that he has job security, unlike most in the NHL. Now, if you want to question that from the people that call the shots at True North, like many do, go nuts. I don't make the rules. I just read the tea leaves, as we say. And then T. Will, I guess, talking about, being in and out very quickly. T. Will mentioned that people said the same thing about Mike Babcock in Columbus. as opposed to Chaika that just got there. Well, here's the thing. Mike Babcock is a sociopath that has a lot of enemies out there that he actually did stuff to. I think the Chaika thing is people didn't like the way that he did his job and broke a couple rules, but he's different. This is definitely a topic, though, Remo. If we did, it would be interesting to take all 32 GMs and line them up in terms of pressure going into this season. I know who number 32 is, and it's the guy that's smoking a cigar right now and getting ready for a parade in Eric Tulsky out in Carolina.
I'll tell you a couple who I was gonna put on, but didn't. Like Kyle Davidson in Chicago has been there for a while. Like when are these guys gonna be good? How long does it take to have a rebuild? Is Connor Bedard ever gonna get in the playoffs here? What are they gonna do? Pat Verbeek, Anaheim looking to take a step forward. I think Mike Greer as well. These teams are turning the corner. I don't think there's like a ton of pressure on them, but
both of those guys I think are in great. Like I think they're coming off great seasons as opposed to what the expectations were, and they're in really good spots. But if they went the other direction, then all of a sudden I think it would get turned up on them as for sure.
Yeah, those two I think are interesting. Like Chris Drury, in terms of on the hot seat, Chris Drury was one.
I think if I had seen a Drury up there, it might have been right there with Stevie Y. Because again, and this is the team. Like the Jets have to avoid Cheveldayoff has to not be in the Chris Drury situation next year. Going from President's Trophy team to missing the playoffs to picking in the top 5. And it's one thing if you're trading all your players and you're in a rebuild or whatever and you're signaling that. The Rangers didn't do that. The Rangers had every intention of being good this past year, and they were far from it. I mean, they went and got JT Miller. They made all those moves. It didn't work. So yeah, you're right, man. Absolutely. He is right up there at the top of that list.
One other one. I'm curious what they're going to do this offseason. Don Sweeney, he's been GM for a long time, since 2015. They had that great run. They won the President's Trophy, but haven't done a ton in the playoffs. You look at this team, and they don't seem that deep or that talented. They just had a first-round exit. What's their plan this offseason? So Don Sweeney won as well, and you kind of think, well, pressure, big markets, passionate about hockey, lots of media. So those are the ones that you could say, hey, Steve Staios, he's been in the job for a couple of years in Ottawa. What are they going to do to improve this offseason? That's one. And Bill Guerin as well. Is he going to take a big swing this offseason? I think I don't know if there's a ton of pressure, but I'm just more intrigued by how do they get past, improve upon this past season, and what's going to happen with Quinn Hughes?
Well, listen, they finally won a round in the playoffs for the first time in over a decade. So congratulations to them for that. Let's see. T. Will, you're right. Everyone thinks Chaika is just the best human ever. Listen, I love T. Will's comments, and I feel the sarcasm dripping off of the characters in your piece in the chat. I would say that if we are ranking vile human beings, Chaika would be well below Mike Babcock. I mean, Babcock is a quintessential bully who picks on the weakest and most vulnerable, uses psychological tactics that I would say would be abhorred by most teams in the NHL in 2026. Like, the knocks against Chaika are legitimate, but I don't think they're in that same ballpark. That's just where I'm at. Adam Douglas, big difference there, Huss, is the Habs have a bright future. The Jets' future looks very dark, especially if they trade 8 overall. I mean, the future is everything is in the now, right? I mean, I'll tell you what, if the Habs went out and got fat and happy after last year and the guys didn't have a good offseason and they came out and started off 5-12 and their young players weren't producing, people would say, what happened to this team, the future? I mean, a lot of that wouldn't look as bright. And by the same token, I mean, if the Jets' young players came out, looked great at the start of the year, they have a good offseason, you come out and you have you're 12-4 to start the season, a lot of the things people are freaking out about would be forgot. So there is an element of recency bias in all of this. But listen, I mean, hey, I'm right there with you guys. I see you all at the games up in the 300 level. I mean, I was there for them all last year. That was a hell of a long shot from what we saw in 24-25. The 2025-26 Winnipeg Jets. And got to figure out how to get that back at it. All right. I guess we'll see. Maybe we'll do Rob Gale tomorrow. I know he's doing a bunch of stuff for the Canadian Soccer Association out in Vancouver ahead of the World Cup game on Thursday. So, but we'll get Gale on his thoughts, hopefully maybe tomorrow before the game against Qatar. All right. Listen, before Mike jumps in, got to shout out our friends at Princess Auto. Folks, if you have not checked out the new store at 500 Panet Road, this is something to behold. The flagship store for the entire company, coast to coast, right here in Winnipeg. It's the biggest store they've ever had. It has more stuff than they've ever had, more tools and equipment to help you take care of all those projects on your list or start something new. Not to mention hunters, campers, fishing people, massive new sections for hunting, camping, and fishing. And while you're there, you can have a beer, smash burger, ice cream, shake. You need to be seen to be believed. Get on down there. The brand new Princess Auto, Panet Road, and we'll see you all next Thursday at the Winnipeg or Princess Auto Stadium for the Bombers and the Edmonton Elks. We just did our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll for the Derminator, the gang out in Gimli at Chud's Power Sports. Get on down to Chud's at the corner of Highway 8 and 231 and check out everything going on. Some great summer deals on new and used ATVs, dirt bikes, motorcycles, side-by-sides, golf carts, ATVs, boats, outboard motors, RVs, you name it. And they're even doing stuff. Oh, by the way, they do have that Suzuki Father's Day sales event if you're looking for a bike. Great time to get down there this week. And make sure to check out True North Parts. Click that link at chudspowersports.com for great deals on clearance gear and accessories. Out at Chud's Power Sports, Highway 8 and 231 in Gimli. And, of course, you can check them out online at chudspowersports.com. Shout out to Dr. Terry and the gang at St. Vital Dental Center. If it's time to get those teeth looked at, or you're looking for a new long-term home for you and your family at a dental clinic with a reputation and a history of serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans, make it St. Vital Dental Center. Our good pal, Dr. Terry, would love to see you and your family. They've been serving, as I said, for generations, for clients from 6 months to 99 plus. And they do it all. Cleanings, checkups, all the way to things like dental implants. They got you covered. Beautiful new facility, 167 St. Anne's. Free parking behind the building. Make an appointment today, stviteldental.ca. And I mentioned this earlier, Thursday is the day. Canada, back at it in the World Cup, 5 p.m. against Qatar. We're going to get the party started early at Boston Pizza Taylor with WST live from BP starting at 1 o'clock. Come on down. Join us for the Bosnia-Switzerland game. Hang around if you like for the 5 p.m. start for Canada and Qatar from Vancouver and BC Place. Although I guess they're probably calling it Vancouver Stadium for FIFA. Canada Red parties at all local BPs for the game on Thursday. All right, let's bring in Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Mike, what's up? How you doing?
Doing well, Huss. Personally on vacation this week. I just Spent the last couple hours in the backyard doing some chores, some tidying, weed whacking, poop picking up, grass cutting. It's a glamorous life around the McIntyre household. And be tuning into some World Cup. You know, I am what would be known as a pretty fair weather fan. I must admit, Huss, soccer doesn't really do it for me, normally. But every 4 years, World Cup rolls around. I get into it. I'm a sucker for best on best, tournament, international competition. I mean, to be honest, you could have a World Cup of tiddlywinks, and I'd probably tune in. But the games have been great, and I love that they're staggered, and you can kind of watch. You know, soccer is one of those sports, kind of like baseball, right? You can have it on. You don't have to necessarily like hang on every single second. And it's nice and calming. I've really enjoyed these last few days, and saw you got to go out there. That would have been quite an experience to witness how the roar when they scored the tying goal, Huss. Is that one of the louder roars you've heard in your lifetime of personal fandom?
For sure. I mean, obviously outdoor stadium. I mean, like for me personally, the loudest, most insane moment, there's two of them in my life. Dave Elliot's goal back in 1990. And then the only thing that I can really ever compare to that is Perfetti's goal in Game 7 last year. Now, again, smaller barn, roof, but for an outdoor stadium, it was, and I mean, the energy of everyone there and yourself, I mean, you're jumping up, you're hugging people. I mean, it seems like the biggest thing that's ever happened in the history of planet Earth when you get a goal of that significance. So I love it.
I mean, at the risk of being a little melodramatic here, I mean, the world is kind of a ugly place. You know, we see that all the time, but it's like the World Cup kind of, it's, for a couple weeks, like everybody can kind of focus on one thing. And I know it doesn't stop what's going on in places, but just seeing like some of the scenes, in bars, in the streets, I'm a sucker for like, humanitarian stories. And there's already been a bunch of them. What was it? Was it the Japanese fans cleaning up in the stadium the other day? Like,
well, that's what they do. That's their culture.
That's amazing. I love that.
The respect of the Japanese is something that I think we should all maybe pay a little more attention to.
So I got to feel a bit of that when I was at the Olympics, obviously in Milan in February, like that coming together of nations. And the World Cup, I mean, that's exactly what it is. So it's such a cool event. On
the TV, did they show very many shots of the two Bosnian sections in the stadium?
Yeah.
Like that was across from where, like I was sitting row 3 behind the net. They were in the upper level in the center behind the other net. So basically as far away as possible as you could see, we could hear them throughout the game. And I got to tell you, the visual of looking up from that distance and just seeing the movement at all times was, I mean, it is so cool to see the cult. Like the one thing that I, as someone that is a fan first, I'm so envious of these cultures that have the songs and the together. Like, I mean, my buddy Greg and Gerald from Royal are Dutch, and they went to Dallas for the Netherlands-Japan game, and they were part of that march. I mean, that march, if you've seen things on social media, is unlike anything that I think we can wrap our heads around as Canadians. Right. And the thing about it is, and this is, I mean, I guess this is the good and the bad of Canada, is that, and I mean, maybe if we were good in soccer for a while, maybe it wouldn't be this way, but like, it seems like everyone in Canada is so, historically, has always been so quick to cheer for like wherever they can claim that they're from instead of our own damn team. It's always pissed me off. Like people are something else first before they're Canadian. And I guess if you want to pump up all these other cultures, whatever, but it would be nice to sort of dive in and kind of really, and this is what I think our team has the capability of doing, frankly,
sure.
if they can get some wins and really give the nation something to be proud about. But yeah, just quickly, I mean, unbelievable experience. It was I got to tell you, it was legit emotional singing the anthem before that game. And like I did it in Qatar. But I mean, in Qatar, there was like a few hundred Canadians there.
Right.
And, you know, you could see them and you could pick them out. But this was a Canada home game. And shout out to the Bosnians, too. We had some Bosnian people that had been in North America for about 10 years that came in from Kentucky that were sitting right beside us, and then a few others around us. But that was a Canada home game. And I got to tell you, this game on Thursday, like Toronto was cool, but Vancouver is a soccer city.
Yeah.
Like, and it is going to be, I think that march to the match by the Voyageurs, and anyone that's going out, get out there, meet at the Science Place, I think 12:30, and they're going to roll at 1. There'll be some scenes that we really haven't seen before, although the march to the Toronto game was absolutely bananas too. Seeing that was something to see. So
if the game plays out like obviously Canada hopes that, if they could score a couple goals or more, they might blow the roof off. They might blow the roof off that place for sure.
Well, and listen, I mean, the Qatar game, they got to win.
Yes.
If they win that game, at worst case scenario, they will be tied with Switzerland going into their final game of the group. And if they can get a result, they could win their group. And if they win their group, they play in the round of 32 and potentially the round of 16 at home. So
yeah,
it's certainly an exciting time when it comes to World Cup. I blind ranked 5 general managers under the most pressure. And it was Kekalainen, and I didn't know who it was going to be. In reverse order, Kekalainen, Chevy, Stan Bowman, John Chaika, Steve Yzerman. It was blind ranking. I would actually move Chaika down probably at 4 or 5. But like, how would you describe the pressure on Cheveldayoff? The reason why I didn't have him higher after the season that they had is because he seemingly has a job security unlike most. But
yeah,
and he's a very motivated and proud guy. Trust me, as pissed off as fans were, I don't think that even scratches the surface of that. And obviously there's a big part of ownership of that. And we heard as much from him at the deadline and after the season. The job of Chevy right now in relation to elsewhere, and just how different would you say the pressure is on Chevy right now this year as opposed to in recent years, especially even last year after coming off what was kind of a dream season and then having a huge step back?
Well, I think there's more pressure than ever on him. And, it maybe doesn't have as much to do with job security, although quite frankly, it probably should. I think it has a lot to do with this market, Huss, and, the pressure to keep filling the building, or at least as close to full as possible. We know the issue. We know the history in this market. We know the issues in this market, smallest NHL market. Winnipeg fans are not fair weather. That being said, ticket prices are very expensive and people want to get quality. If they're going to spend, they want to see a quality product. And let's face it, there's a lot of nights last year where people left that building feeling like they did not get their money's worth.
Hey, let me just quickly interrupt you there, because the loudest people on social media and in your inbox often are the ones that want to blow this thing all up.
Yeah.
So what is it? I mean, because let's face it, if you want to trade all these guys, there's a very good chance that this team might stink for a while.
Right. Yeah, you're watching, a glorified AHL team for a few seasons, while it's sorting itself. That? Right. And yeah, I mean, I think that's why there's pressure, because I think the core that's in place, the dynamics of this market, to get ticket sales, and look, a year ago, they had the best product. They were the President's Trophy winners. It looked like this team was going to sell itself, and then they went the complete opposite direction a year ago. So that puts, I think, additional pressure on, not just Cheveldayoff, but the whole organization. Because I got to imagine, Huss, like, if you're a ticket sales agent for True North, there's probably some tough conversations and phone calls, that are either happening or have happened or will happen, as you try and, get renewals, get new people to sign up. And yeah, I mean, while I'm sure there are people that would be down for, a rebuild done the right way, a tear down and then a build back up, the reality is, with the core that's in place and the contracts that are in place right now, unless there's a complete 180, and, certainly the Hellebuyck situation is worth keeping an eye on, because, a trickle could potentially turn into a flood, right? And sometimes you're forced to choose a direction that you weren't necessarily going to go in, but if your hand is forced. Now, there's lots of whispers and rumblings and whatnot around Connor Hellebuyck. I've been poking around. I'm sure every journalist in the hockey world has been poking around, and sort of what Elliot Friedman reported yesterday, that sure, there's noise. To this point, everything I've sort of heard or been able to substantiate is that it's just noise at this point. Is the organization, keeping something bigger under wraps? Are they trying to quietly work on something? I can't say. All we know is things Connor Hellebuyck said after the end of the season. We can see which way the wind's blowing with some other American players, some of his teammates on that gold medal team. So we wait and see. And, clearly these next couple weeks are going to be pivotal for this organization and Kevin Cheveldayoff, because there's the draft, there's free agency, and, when the dust settles in, 2 weeks from tomorrow is July 1st. Like, we're going to learn a ton about the short and maybe the long-term future of this team based on what does or doesn't happen in the next couple weeks here.
Hey, by the way, I do want to mention, we're not getting off this topic, but this segment is brought to you by your Prairie Toyota dealers and the Toyota Tacoma. With the available panoramic multi-terrain view monitor, it gives you a live underfloor view to navigate even the toughest terrain. When it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out a cinch. So experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days. Just on that note, Mike, and listen, we all heard what Ellie had to say, and we saw him say it, and the pause and all of that. If we are led to believe that all this smoke, there is a fire, and he has said that he'd like to be moved, I would say that then the comments retroactively looking back are a little disingenuous, because it wasn't that I want out. He wants this team to compete and to be there. So if we say that, and we're hoping that there's some big changes made and we're better next year, and then a week later say you want out before you actually give the people a chance to do anything, then you're sort of talking out two sides of your mouth. That's just a point that I'd like to make. However, when it comes to what you talked about, picking the lane, I have always said, and this goes back to the middle of last season when people started bringing up, okay, where does this go from here? To me, Hellebuyck is the linchpin for all of this. Because if a Hellebuyck trade happens, it's not a one-for-one deal. You're probably getting some younger players, you're getting a pick, you're getting a package that then absolutely sort of resets expectations for this year. Well, what does that do? Scheifele, Connor, but Josh Morrissey to me is obviously the next guy, because he's the one guy that isn't signed long-term. Like, Chevy is not going to be forced into trading Helly for less than he feels is market value or a good trade for the Winnipeg Jets. The exact same thing is going to go for those other guys that have cost certainty and commitment.
Right.
Josh is the one guy that in 54 weeks will be eligible to sign a deal with the Winnipeg Jets. If an off-season trade, I think they probably have to have that conversation with Josh anyways a little sooner, but that relationship seems great with him.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that that's probably an urgent thing for Chevy to do, and probably considering everything else on his plate, it's probably not. But if something happened with Hellebuyck, then I think all bets are off. And then you're finding out, okay, Josh, where are you at? Because, I mean, a trade piece like Morrissey at his contract with 2 years left would be massive. I don't think there's much of an appetite among the fan base to get rid of Josh Morrissey, but I'd say the same thing about Hellebuyck because of how great he has been for this team. But to me, if anything happened with Hellebuyck, and if he sort of pushed the issue, I still maintain Chevy's not trading him without a deal. Like there's no pressure on him to do it other than an awkward situation next year. But this is also part of the reason why I think it's so quiet, because the second it gets out that this is a public thing, Hellebuyck doesn't want to be here and he's getting out, you run the risk of having a Dylan Larkin situation. And I'm telling you right now, Yzerman's not trading Larkin if he does not get his asking price for him. And Larkin might have to drag his ass back to Motown for training camp, be informed by Todd McClellan that he's no longer the captain of the team, and then go out for the first game. And what do you think that reception will be like?
Yeah.
So the more public it gets, the more possible that it could be very messy because, again, these guys aren't Quinn Hughes, Matthew Tkachuk with 1 year left on their deal.
Right.
These guys have already committed to the team. They know what they're going to make. And to say, yeah, I want to trade and I want it to this team, it rubs people really in the wrong way. And we've seen it right now in Detroit. I mean, public perception, they understood that he could be frustrated. The minute it's like, yeah, I want Minnesota, Vegas, or Florida, boom, complete 180.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, Huss. Like, I wonder to a degree, what does Carolina winning the cup with 37-year-old Freddie Anderson and then the last 3 games, a waiver pickup rookie, what does that potentially do to the market, if there is a market, for Connor Hellebuyck? And that's something I've been wondering the last 36 hours since the cup final ended. Does the concept of a 65 to 70 game stud goaltender, does that market dry up a bit now as teams go, you know what? Like, we can look, why don't we look at a job share? Let's just find 2 pretty good goalies that can push each other. Now, clearly that doesn't always work. Just ask the Edmonton Oilers, who you could make a serious argument that if they could have sorted out their goaltending situation, they've probably lifted at least one, maybe a couple Stanley Cups here in the last, certainly in the Connor McDavid area. So what was Carolina able to do that, you know, teams like Edmonton, but we have seen the growing trend, if you will, of there's less Connor Hellebucks in the league, like guys that you're going to lean on to play potentially 70 games and, you know, pour all the resources in. And I just wonder, does that cause some teams to have pause for thought when it comes to, or are there teams that, as I suspect there would be, that are like, we're just a Connor Hellebuck away from being a perpetual Stanley Cup contender? So
let me ask
it's
you
an interesting thought experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. You think Vegas is feeling good about their goaltending today? How about Colorado? Colorado just won the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't even win a game against the Vegas Golden Knights, and goaltending was a big part of that. Like, there's either sure things or there's not sure things. And Carolina was far from it going in. Now, Freddie Anderson had a great run, and then Bussy came in, and he's a wild story.
It is.
I mean, like, yes, if you
the
told
unicorn,
the GM,
probably.
all you need to do is, you know what, just check the waiver wire on October 5th.
Yeah.
There'll be someone there that'll win you 3 games in the cup final, no problem. Sure. I hate to say it. That is a Haley's Comet more than a rarity. So Yeah, to me, I mean, Hellebuyck is still at or near the top of the list.
Yeah.
And for GMs, that's the other thing. Would you rather have a guy you know you're going to throw at 65 games a year and he's going to give you Vezina level goaltending, or two guys on the cheap that you are praying every night?
Right.
The stagecoach doesn't turn into a pumpkin at midnight.
Yeah, I mean, the GMs tend to work in probabilities, right? And the probability of a Bussy situation over a proven goaltender, for sure, that's pretty rare. And so you're right. I don't think it impacts the market very much, if at all. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you that he is the linchpin for sure. That it would, like, if Connor Hellebuyck does want out and the Jets ultimately were to facilitate that, suddenly you're down a road now that you weren't expecting to travel. And that would mean unexpected, difficult conversations. Josh Morrissey, absolutely at the top of the list. I think you'd also have one with Connor Hellebuyck's American gold medal winning teammate in Kyle Connor to see, does he feel the same way? And again, look, we might now have to take a few years of a step back here. Like, are you in that? Are you here for that? What's your mindset? So, Mark Scheifele would be interesting too. I think Mark Scheifele at this point, Huss, I really do. I think he's a Jet for life. Like, no matter what. I really do. But I guess that could change. I think the idea of legacy, I think, is very important to Mark Scheifele. The idea of being like his mentor, Steve Yzerman, like a guy that plays his whole career with one team, a guy that owns every franchise record. Obviously, though, you'd like a Stanley Cup in there. Mark Scheifele, even if, let's say, Connor Hellebuyck were to want out, he's a guy who could still say, well, I'll still be here in 3, 4, 5 years, where maybe at that point we win a cup. Maybe I finish my career by winning a Stanley Cup. So I think you'd still approach him. Obviously, he's part of your leadership group. He's a major part of your core. But I think the two would be Morrissey and Kyle Connor when you talk about, the core and guys that might potentially be following Hellebuyck out the door. So yeah, that's, and I mean, here's the other thing, Huss. If you're the Jets, you got to get some clarity on Hellebuyck one way or another, right? In the next couple of weeks. Like, I'm not saying the trade has to happen before the draft, because ideally, I mean, maybe you're getting a first round draft pick back. There's been talk about Florida in the ninth spot. But that doesn't mean you couldn't make the trade on July 3rd and still get pieces back that doesn't involve the draft. So I don't think it has to happen by June 26th, 27th, but it better happen around free agency, because, again, you got to figure out, like, what's your goaltending situation then? Are you getting a goalie back if you're trading Hellebuyck? And if you're not, what's out there on the waiver wire or on the free agent wire, that you got to make sure you're in on?
Well, okay, I get that. And, our pal Nick Lyman, who's often in the chat and doing his thing on Top Line, has been really kind of pumping this and says that he thinks something happens before that. And I was talking to him offline. I'm like, there's no pressure on Cheveldayoff to trade Hellebuyck. And it's only going to happen if a team steps up with a godfather offer, if you will, to take a guy that was the best player in the National Hockey League last season and has 3 Vezina trophies. Like, there's no way, Hellebuyck wants out. Where does he want to go to? Okay, we'll get whatever deal done. Like, sorry, that's not happening. And that's why, with a team that has been as patient as has been over the year, I'd say it's incredibly unlikely that happens before July 1st. I think it's incredibly unlikely that it happens before training camp. Like, if we go down that road, and again, this is predicated on what an offer would be of, let's face it, a guy with the full no move, a place that he wants to go to.
Right.
Like, you're threading a pretty small needle there to make it work for the Jets. And that's why, like, I'm not holding my breath on any of this stuff, no matter, even if every single insider went out, we've confirmed Connor Hellebuyck has demanded a trade from the Winnipeg Jets. Okay, great. It's up to the other GMs to get Kevin Cheveldayoff to say yes. And that can take a hell of a lot longer than 10 days.
So the only thing that July 1 becomes sort of interesting to me, Huss, is, I mean, obviously Hellebuck's salary, what's it, 8.75, and the cap's going up. So teams could make that work even if it was in August. Most teams are, or you'd find a way to make it work. The thing is, though, if you're going to go obtain a guy 1 year removed from winning the Hart, and you're building your team this summer, don't you want Connor Hellebuyck in place by July 1 so you can use that when you're marketing your team to other potential free agents? Or like, that is a major selling point all of a sudden. Hey, we've got Connor Hellebuyck on our team. You want to come play defense for us? You want to be a third line winger? You want to come be in our top six? So I wonder if you're bang on about the Jets. The Jets aren't they're not going to be forced to do anything foolish to beat some artificial clock. But I do wonder if you're a team that's looking at obtaining Connor Hellebuyck, don't you kind of want him by July 1 just so you can really cement what your team is going to be, as opposed to adding him late in the off-season when most of your money's probably tied up and, everything's sort of set at that point. So maybe the best offers come between the draft and July 1, if there are offers to be made. Again, lots of speculation here. Let me just say this about Hellebuyck. I've reached out to some people that, including his agent, with the idea that, like, look, do you want to put this fire out? There's smoke, right? There's smoke around all this. Do you want to pour water on it? Do you want to pour gas on it? I'll just say, and I think Elliot sort of reported this as well, that there's a ton of silence around this. That being said, people have been given the opportunity to pour water on something. I'm not going to read into why they haven't. That being said, nobody's poured gas on it either. So that is what it is at this point.
My opinion, the reason why the gas hasn't been poured in is to avoid a Larkin type situation when he comes back. Because as I say, this deal, I mean, it's easy for us. And we always talk about the old Chevy say, hey, this isn't fantasy hockey. It's easy for us to say, well, get these guys from this guy. I mean, it takes two to tango. And again, the Winnipeg Jets, this is not a guy that they have to trade this year before he walks for nothing. He's got 5 more years on his deal at 8.5, like one of the best contracts, I would argue, in the league based on what he's done over the last little while. And, if somebody wants Connor Hellebuyck, they're not getting him in the bargain bin for 60% off.
Right.
That's why I'm just sure.
Put it this way, though, Huss. If there was, let's just say somebody made up a rumor today that Mark Scheifele's asked for a trade, it would probably be pretty easy and pretty quickly to get official denials of that, because it's not true. The fact that nobody, and again, people have been given opportunities to pour water on this, does the silence speak volumes in a way? The fact nobody is pouring water on it, is that fuel in a way? I mean, I don't know. It's the whole thing is strange. It's like everybody involved in this, from the organization to the player to the agent to the circle of people around the player, everybody's decided we're not touching this with a 10-foot pole right now. But to some, that's only going to further add speculation that there is fire where there's smoke. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll be honest. I think that there is. I mean, I'm sort of with you. I mean, I think it would have been quite easy to go, hey, this is complete BS, whatever.
Wouldn't you want to do that if all of a sudden, if your name or your client's name, like if there's false rumors about you, usually you want to snuff those out, don't you?
Yeah.
Unless there's some benefit to you, a player that's in a contract year, for example, that could leverage that as bargaining power, but that's not the case here. So why would you want your name out there in completely bogus rumors if they're bogus?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't think it was like, hey, I demand you trade me. I think it was more, hey, you know what, I'd be open to hearing about this place, and another place. And, what do they call it? A soft request or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, neither the team or the agent are going to get this out publicly, officially, because, as I say, the negatives, there's no benefit. There's absolutely no benefit, because no matter what anybody says, there is a very high likelihood that he's back here in training camp at the start of this year. And if we spend an entire summer talking about malcontent Hrabchak wants out, blah, 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 it's bad for the team, it's bad for the fan base, bad for the player, bad for his family, bad for his agent. Yeah. And it certainly, I don't think, pushes a trade any further moving forward. So
I'll end with this, Huss. This wouldn't be the first time potentially that we thought Hrabchak had 1 foot out the door and then he didn't. We take you back to when his contract was, there was, and some of the insiders were reporting that he was as good as gone, right?
For sure. Well, and Scheifele too, for that matter. And this
right.
is the one thing I was going to say before, and we kind of skipped over it. Said, you think Scheifele is jet for life? I don't necessarily disagree with that, but at the same point, if these other guys leave and all his friends are gone and he's around here, I mean, Mark Scheifele did basically, he's been really great the last couple of years. But, I mean, we cannot forget the guy that we had here from about late 2019 to 2022 when he signed that contract. Right. It was a complete 180. It was shocking to me. I mean, I've never been more sure a big-time player on the Jets was leaving more than Scheifele. I was more surprised at that than I was the Hrabchak extension, based on everything that we'd seen and the way that he'd sort of been carrying himself, and he wasn't right. Now, that could be different, but anyways, if Hrabchak's gone, all bets are off, and it becomes even more interesting. Mike, great stuff. Thanks as always, man. Great having you on the show. We'll do this again soon.
You bet, Huss. Enjoy the week. Take care.
Fun chat with Mike McIntyre today. We're going to be talking lots of World Cup over these next few weeks. We're at BP on Thursday. Come and join us. Get your red on, and you're where you get it. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway, your World Cup headquarters. They are stocked with Canada jerseys, hoodies, hats, scarves, everything you need to support your country in the World Cup is at Royal. Lots of other countries as well. If you do want to, get one of the kits of some of the other teams in. Not to mention soccer, baseball, softball, bikes. They're all ready for summer right now. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway, your World Cup headquarters for 2026. Big weekend coming up for the Fish. I think we're going to have our pal Andrew Collier come and join us in maybe in the next couple days to fill us in. But Scott Oak Night on Friday. Game on Saturday as well, a National Indigenous Peoples Day, and Sunday, Father's Day, and a big bucket hat giveaway. Weather should be nice, especially on the weekend. Make plans to get out to the ballpark, and make sure to get your tickets for our patio party with WST Tuesday, June 30th, day before Canada Day. We're taking over the patio again. We sold it out last year. We still have a few tickets left. Go to winnipegsportstalk.com and grab your tickets today, and we will see you with the rest of our crew on June 30th out at the ballpark. We're going to bring in Josh Goldberg right now. I had a great time traveling out to his neck of the woods last week for the soccer game, but if you're planning some summer vacations or adventures, start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. Or if you prefer a personal touch, stop by the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. We'll get to our horse picks a little later on. Right now, let's get the latest on the Blue Jays with Josh Goldberg, DFA podcast. What's going on, Josh? How are you? Oh, hold on a second. You're is that muted on our end, Reem, or?
I think I just had to do one thing. Should be good now if he hits accept.
By the way, it's Josh Goldberg, not Mike.
Oh, I'll switch that.
Josh, what's up? How are you?
You got me now?
We certainly do. We certainly do. What, I had a nice, I went out for the soccer game on Friday and ended up getting a ticket for Saturday afternoon's game and saw a hell of a pitching matchup. Man, Gosman deserved better. But no, I realized the lineup was missing a lot of key guys. But holy smoke, this team has a tough time hitting with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, they obviously do. And I think that's kind of a byproduct of the fact that they really just have a tough time hitting, period. It's just not been a good year for them at the plate. They're in the bottom third or worse in basically every major offensive category. They led the league in batting average with runners in scoring position last season, and they struggled at the start of the season and then obviously got hot. But they turned into just a complete offensive team. And certainly when you're hitting in all situations, you're probably also going to hit with runners in scoring position. So people will say it's a fluky statistic, but I think there's some merit to that only to a point. I think generally speaking, if you're a top tier lineup, which they have been in the past and certainly last season, it stands to reason that you're probably going to be a top half at worst and probably better offensive team in clutch situations with runners in scoring position. And, they just haven't hit enough at all this season. And it's certainly been magnified because they've had their share of opportunities with runners in scoring position. I think they went 3 for 19 over the last 2 games of the Yankees series. So that's 19 at bats. I think they've left 19 on base over those 2 games. They've had their looks, and they just far too often have not been able to deliver in those spots.
I mean, big picture, you mentioned the hitting. This team's 4 games under 500. I think we're 10 games away from the midway point of the season.
Yeah.
What is this team missing? And is it internal on the DL, or is there more work for management to do to get this team in a position that they can be a dangerous team come the postseason and make it, first of all?
Yeah, so I would say that it starts internally. I don't think that they're in a position right now where you could definitively say that they should be looking externally to improve the team. Like, they're out of the postseason right now, 1.5 games. We'll see what happens 5-6 weeks from now when the deadline kind of is more right in our kind of purview. But it's as simple as their best players just have been nowhere near their best players, whether it's been injuries from, like Alejandro Kirk's played 6-7 games this year. Barger's been out for a while. He struggled before the injuries, but it's really Guerrero and Springer who just have not been up to par in terms of expectations, talent level, you name it, particularly Guerrero. And until that changes, no matter what you get from Ernie Clement's having a great season, Nathan Lucas is rebounded after the vertigo, Valenzuela, there have been some positives, but you're just not going to have anywhere near the level of success that everyone hopes for if your best players are performing closer to, kind of the worst players on the team in terms of statistics and whatnot. So until that changes in a really big way quickly, the Jays are going to have a tough time consistently, playing good baseball and winning games.
Where are we at with the bullpen right now? I will say, I splurged. I was just getting a single, and I was, it was the day of the game. I was looking around a bunch of stuff. I spent a little more than I normally would, and I was right behind the plate. And Tyler Rogers is a mutant. I've never seen anything like that in real life. I mean, how his body contorts like that is wild. He was fine. Hoffman at times has been okay, and then just has these epic blow-ups. And then Louis Varneland's looked really good at times, but he got rocked on the weekend. How close are they to kind of really having things set up in the bullpen? And do you imagine that it's going to go when needed, Hoffman, Rogers, Varland moving forward?
I think so, for all intents and purposes. Like you said, Hoffman, when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's catastrophic. I think Jimmy Garcia coming back, we'll see. At this point, he's no spring chicken, and he's had his share of legitimate serious injuries over the years. But he bounced back from a rough rehab outing and looked good in his last one, and the velocity was back up. That's a real wild card X factor, because if he's anywhere near his peak, that's a big weapon to add to your stable. And honestly, the bullpen is kind of at the bottom of my list of worries right now. Yeah, it's far from perfect. No team has a perfect bullpen. There are guys that you probably don't feel amazing about in certain situations, but by and large, from top to bottom, it's a pretty solid group. And like I said, if you add Garcia back into the mix and he can perform and stay healthy, that obviously gives you another element and more depth. But for the first time in a while, at least, a lot of the last couple of years has been, well, if the Blue Jays just had a good bullpen and they just had more options in the bullpen, where could this team go? I feel pretty good about it. And it's more about getting the starters back healthy. Obviously, Shane Bieber comes to mind. And then the offense just has to pick up. I think everything is secondary. If you continue struggling to score runs the way that they have, it doesn't matter how good the bullpen looks or how good your starting pitching looks. You're just going to have a hard time reeling off the number of wins that you're going to need to kind of create some separation in the wild card picture and really solidify yourself as a playoff team.
Josh, tee up this series coming up against the Red Sox. This kind of feels like a gotta-have-it series for the Blue Jays. The Red Sox stink. They're worse than Toronto is right now. Yeah. It seems like a lost season. Surely, I mean, the Jays coming off of that great start against the Yankees and the 2 in a row. This feels like one, like they got to get 2. And to be honest, it feels like if you can go in and get 3, you might be pushing yourself closer to being right on track.
Yeah, this is a big series. I think the stretch heading into the All-Star break is huge. Like then they've got the Cubs and then a homestand, the Rangers for 4. They're right around the wild card picture. The Astros aren't very good. They're playing them at home. Then they head out west. They've got the series against the Mariners. I think the Giants and Padres is in there as well. There are plenty of winnable games here for the Blue Jays. Like if they play the way that they are capable of playing, then I think they can really go on a bit of a run here. But it starts certainly against the Red Sox. You're right. They've been awful this year, and they've really struggled at home. And, you know, the Jays have had their issues at points over the years at Fenway Park, but they've also had plenty of success. And it's just about going out there and, you know, use the green monster to your advantage in the batter's box as a right-handed hitter, you know. And hopefully, I've been saying this for weeks, that it's just, you know, we keep saying it, like they got to get it going. They got to figure it out. And we've been having this conversation all season long. There's still more than half a season remaining to do that. But with each passing week, and we're still having the same conversation, you know, it maybe makes you wonder a little bit if perhaps this just is one of those seasons where it feels like the puzzle pieces don't fit the way that they did when everything perfectly fit last year. It seems like, you know, it's just not going according to plan so far this season, but, you know, it's still all in front of them. It's just a matter of playing better baseball top to bottom. And certainly that starts with more consistency at the plate.
Hey, just before we go, I know we're talking baseball, but you getting into the beautiful game? Are going to be out at the Toronto Stadium for any of the World Cup games?
I will see. Hopefully, like as you could imagine, a tough ticket. Like there were some nibbles for the game, I guess, against Bosnia last week, but I didn't want to have to sell a vital organ to go to the game. So, but I watched it. It was awesome, and I've been watching more soccer obviously than I normally do, and the games have been super exciting. This is always the case with the World Cup, and Canada got a goal and a tie, and hopefully they can keep it going on Thursday and make it out of the group, and then anything beyond that point is gravy. So let's all hope for the best there.
You're talking about selling the organ. You're not far off. I took in the game with our pal Jeff Feinberg, and we had quite the afternoon, but it was not cheap, but definitely did not regret it. Great atmosphere. And I would say even some of the other games, non-Canada, if you can get a ticket, go to it. It is a really, really cool experience. Josh, great stuff as always. Thanks for doing this, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, anytime, Huss.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to check in on the Sea-Bears with the Slatman, Joey Slattery, coming up in just a second. Got to shout out my friends out at Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge. If you've checked their socials lately, the fishing is good, real good right now. I mean, just some absolute monster walleye being pulled out of the lake. If you're looking for a fly-in fishing experience, world-class fishing, and even more world-class hospitality from the Aikens team and the Terren family, Aikens Lake is the spot. You can get there in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg and get right out on the water. Check them out online, aikenslake.com, and on all their socials for more on availability for the 2026 fishing season. It's major week, U.S. Open, Shinnecock. Cannot wait. We'll be doing Breezy Bend golf reports for the U.S. Open throughout the week. But if you want to spend a little time getting ready for the game, or the tourney, check out the WST channel. Myself, Pat, Jake, we rocked about an hour today of our favorite picks and discussion around the tournament. It is all up right now on the WST YouTube channel. And for those of you that are golfing in Winnipeg or maybe thinking about making one of Winnipeg's top private clubs your long-term home on a golf course for you and your family, check out Breezy Bend, breezybend.ca or 895-7205. Ask for our pal Corey Johnson. Yes, Senegal hanging in with France. 0-0 right now as we approach the end of the first half. But let's check into the hoops with the Slatman, Joey Slattery, who joins us now. Slats, I was doing the lock shop earlier with Dusty, and he was asking me what was coming up on WST, and I said, well, we're going to talk a little World Cup and some hockey, and we're going to get the latest on the Seabirds with Joey Slattery. He goes, oh, you better say hi to Slattery for us. Everyone there. Lots of love from the EST crew for you. What's going on? How are you?
Well, I love Dusty. He's one of the truest, best, cool humans out there. And, everything he's accomplished in broadcast is nothing short of phenomenal. But more than anybody, he's just a great guy. I got to know him really well when I was working in Edmonton. So I'm glad he said hi. Next time you're chatting with him, tell him I say hi too. But no, everything. It's a great time right now for the Winnipeg Sea-Bears. A crazy time. Xavier Moon should be here this week. As far as I know, he's currently making his way to Edmonton, and they had a corresponding move with Armani Chaney, who it's kind of unfortunate. He became a bit of a fan favorite, but the guard depth for the Sea-Bears is it's there. And unfortunately, with the import rule, a team can only have 6 players that are not Canadian on the roster. And with Xavier Moon coming in, they had to make a corresponding move. So Armani Chaney is the odd man out. I'm sure he'll find himself on another team, but it's so funny because we're a third into the season, almost halfway through the season, and we're just starting to see teams get their full arsenal. So the season's only going to get crazier from here.
Yeah, tell us about this Moon dude, because we had Rianne Marcucci pop by. Thanks again, Rianne. Got me a sweet Sea-Bears hat, nice T-shirt. This is a former MVP of the league, and so is Teddy Allen. How big of a boost will it be for the team to get him, and how does he fit into the lineup?
Well, not only is he a former MVP, he's won more MVPs than anybody else in this league, to the point that the trophy is a big X for Xavier Moon, right? They paid homage to him through the design of the trophy. So no, this is a huge impact player. Like, that's an understatement. I don't know the words to put it, properly, of what it means for the Sea Bears to land this guy, particularly when you think that he played his career in Edmonton, was doing camps in Edmonton before he agreed to sign in Winnipeg. So I think it caught a lot of people off guard around the league, which just speaks to how well the Sea Bears have done with recruiting this year, particularly, head coach and general manager Mike Rainbow gives a lot of credit to assistant coach and assistant general manager Alex Campbell for that, but they can coexist. I always go back to, it didn't last long, but the whole Justin Wright Foreman and Teddy Allen coexisting, that experiment didn't go well, or wouldn't have went as well. They only played like 1 or 2 games together because they were very ball dominant. But I think the difference with Xavier Moon is he's been there, done that, right? And I think for a guy like Teddy Allen, there's a lot to learn from a guy like Xavier Moon. Teddy Allen has been phenomenal this year. And from a league standpoint and a national standpoint, and we talked about this on the Target Score podcast, the episode coming out tomorrow, but we have not talked enough about Teddy Allen. I mean, he is having a stellar season. He's back-to-back weeks as player of the week in the CEBL, but he's been doing it relatively quietly. And now we're throwing in an Xavier Moon to the mix, who I think is only going to open up the facilitation for Teddy Allen. I mean, his field goal percentages up from years past simply because there's so many weapons on Winnipeg this year. And now you're getting one of the most elite point guards to ever play in this league. Yes, Armani Chaney, fan favorite, good point guard, scrappy guy. I think he really kind of reflected the kind of player Winnipeg likes to see. Underdog, he said in an interview earlier this season, he was a guy that Mike Taylor said he could only see as a practice player. Then he came in here and he was a great impact player off the bench. But I don't think people will be too sad once they start seeing Xavier Moon in action. This guy is a guy who is incredibly fast, incredibly talented. And when that shot clock gets down, expect him to make magic, much like Teddy Allen. Now you just have 2 options, but I can't foresee the professionalism that Teddy is shown this year, and the professionalism I know comes from Xavier Moon. They're going to make this work. These are 2 guys that want to win a championship. And if it means Teddy Allen can't score 30 points one night, I think Teddy Allen's going to be okay with that.
I was going to ask you if there were enough balls and shots to go around, because the first time with Teddy didn't exactly go swimmingly leading to his finish. But by all accounts, he's come back in a much better place and been a much better teammate.
And he's, in a genuine way, Huss, like he's been giving a lot more glory and love to his teammates. At first I'm thinking, okay, he's getting coached through it, but the genuine gratitude that he's showing to his teammates, I think, is reflecting from the success he's seeing on the floor, because there is only 1 ball to go around and he's still getting plenty to eat. But it's not just his scoring that's gone up. I mean, his scoring is what it is and what we expect. He's putting up, 30-point games left, right, and center, but he's also getting, 5 to 10 assists a game. He's getting nearly 10 rebounds a game. And defensively, I mean, we don't talk enough about Teddy Allen's defense. I mean, this guy set the record and then tied his own record twice this year. And we're only not even halfway through the season with 6 steals in 1 game. He had 2 the last home game where Isaiah Osborne had this great debut, getting 5 steals on top of his 24 points. This is a team that is really playing Mike Rainbow basketball. It's defense heavy. It's get some stops, create some turnovers, get on the run and score, right? Turn defense into offense. And they've been doing that relatively well. I know the record, I think they're 6-4 right now, which seems like, kind of, run of the mill, if you will. But this is a team that's still in second place in the Western Conference. And most of those games, except for 1, were all decided within 1 to 2 possessions. So this is a team that's in every game, that's fighting through to the end of every game. Vibes are a lot higher with this team. I think if this were the record last year, it'd be this is a mediocre team. But I think across the league, people understand that the Winnipeg Sea Bears are not to be messed around with. I just don't think they're getting the national attention right now, simply because Scarborough is 8-1 and Miles Powell's putting up crazy scoring numbers out there. And Brampton was leading that conversation as well. And Vancouver just got Mitch Creek back. So automatically there's a spotlight on Vancouver. But I think Vancouver is just 1 game ahead of Winnipeg, and they play on Thursday. And they play 4 times this season. So this season series with Vancouver, I think, is going to be popcorn all year, because it will decide who is 1 and who's 2 in the West.
Yeah,
possibly the league.
I was going to get you to tee up Thursday night. I mean, the Sea Bears they've won 3 of their last 4, and they've been putting up some big numbers. 117, 107. 98. But this is a big game. The 7-3 Bandits in to take on the 6-4 CBears on the home court. You kind of laid out the head-to-head matchup, the division, and all that. Not all games in a regular season are created equal. This game on Thursday night at Canada Life Center feels like it's a big one.
It is. It's really the first big test, I think. They've been tested. Don't get me wrong. They played Scarborough. They played Brampton. Those are the two best teams in the East. They lost to them. But this one is one that will directly impact your seeding in the playoffs, right? Like, it's a Western Conference matchup against the team that you're either going to be chasing or is going to be chasing you unless something totally crazy happens, right? This is going to be a big matchup. This is kind of a weird take to have, but if it is a shootout, Winnipeg can win that, but it will be a lot easier if that score is under 100, right? Even like under 90 if you can, because the defense is what's going to separate them from Vancouver. Both of these teams are very complete. We don't know if Tyrese Samuel, he's the reigning most outstanding Canadian last year. He's out working with an NBA team right now. So we're not sure if he'll be back in the lineup on Thursday, but Mitch Creek will be back and he'll have one game under his belt. So you're going to get a great team in Vancouver. They just lost to Scarborough in a shootout. But again, very entertaining game, but there was not a lot of defense. They were breaking down defenses left and right, both teams. So if Winnipeg can establish that defense, disrupt the guards a little bit early, create some turnovers, and get, Vancouver playing on their heels a little bit, it will work a lot better for Winnipeg. But that's a lot easier said than done. I think they just got to be prepared for anything. And if the game does get a little out of hand and you do find yourself in a track meet, carb up because you're going to have to get running.
Slats, actually that'll be fun. Folks can take in that World Cup game and then rip over to the rink and check out the hoops. Have you been getting into the soccer yet? Team Canada?
Honestly, Huss, no. It's funny because I thought this year for sure with it being hosted in Canada, like I'd be a lot more into it. But honestly, it's just been so busy with the basketball season, and CEBL is about, I'd say, like a 2-week fast forward than we would normally be in years past, as we approach the halfway point of the season. I did catch the highlights for the Canada game. But see, I'm not a big soccer guy, so I'm sitting here thinking I thought they were going to smoke Bosnia, and then it was a draw. And at first, I see the score and I was kind of disappointed, but then I started looking online and everybody said that's a good thing. So as long as it's a good thing, go Canada.
Well,
but I do plan on
disaster. A loss would have been devastating. A draw was mandatory, and when you're down with 20 minutes left, 1-0. It was pretty nervous times in that stadium in Toronto.
Yeah, because you were there. How was that experience? Sorry to flip the script on you here, but that was awesome. It looked awesome
incredible.
on Instagram.
It was incredible. It was for anyone that's getting a chance to get out to the Vancouver games, you are in for one of the most special sporting experiences of your life, no doubt about it. And the fact that we got a squad now, and we can get through this game on Thursday with a win, hopefully get Davies and Bombito back for the Swiss game. They should qualify for the round of 32. And should they have a good result, they're still, with Qatar tying the Swiss, which was shocking, far more than the tie with Canada-Bosnia, it is on the table. With a couple good results, Canada could win the group, and that would mean they play the first knockout game in Vancouver. And if they win that one, they would play again. So
okay,
it is shaping up very well for Canada. But hopefully,
do they have Qatar or Switzerland on Thursday?
Qatar. That's the game they have to win.
That's the one they have to win,
and they're
right?
a big favorite in it. Like anything other than a win would be really disappointing, which is funny because we've never won a game at the World Cup. But Thursday is our time. And Thursday, hopefully, is the CBears time at home against the Vancouver Bandits. Slats, great stuff. We'll catch you soon, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate it as always. Let's talk soon.
Good stuff. There is Joey Slattery covering all things good. Target Score Weekly, by the way, and make sure to give him a follow on Instagram. Great stuff covering the CBears. And the CEBL. All right, I think we're at halftime, and it's 0-0. Could we have another crazy day of ties all day? We'll get to that in a minute. We're going to get Remo back in for the we're going to get Remo back in actually for horse picks, as well as some Coolbet lines for the soccer, golf on the weekend. But hey, good stuff with Joey Slattery. Get that man a beer. Let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's dive into what's cooking over at the World Cup. As we mentioned, 0-0, France and Senegal. Actually, looking at the live line right now, France even money to win this game. They were a big favorite beforehand, more than it was minus 200 or something. That actually might be tempting. Although Remis, you saw the ties yesterday. Did you see what if you had parlayed all 4 ties yesterday would have paid you?
No. Oh man, I'm a big fan of that. What would it have been?
Yeah, 100. If you put $100 on the 4 ties yesterday, depending on where you were placing your bets, it could have been as high as $95,000.
Oh man.
So like 10 would be 9,500. Like it was nuts. Very, very rare. And obviously the Spain one was just such a shocker. They were a massive favorite and could not beat that Capo Verde goaltender. But France and Senegal tied right now. Live odds at halftime. France even money. Draw plus 190. Senegal plus 425. Iraq and Norway this afternoon at 5. The Norwegians minus 417, draw 6-1, Iraq 13-1. I think this is going to be a big time game for Erling Haaland, the scoring machine of Norway. He's got like Connor McDavid numbers. He's minus 229 to score. I'm actually going to put a little sprinkle on him at over 1.5 goals in this game, which I know seems crazy, but he's the guy to do it, and this is the opponent to do it against. Plus 174 for that. Plus 540 for a hat trick for Haaland. Later on, Messi and Argentina, the defending World Cup champions, against Algeria. Argentina minus 222. Draw plus 365. Algeria plus 755. You do have a couple ones. Argentina to win to 0. So Argentina to win and not allow a goal. That's plus 116. Then 2 teams I don't know much about, but I will be watching. This is the Remis time slot. 9 o'clock Pacific, 11 p.m. Central. Austria and the Kingdom of Jordan. Austria is a big favorite right now. Obviously, the games have started, but they still do have some good stuff up in the combo cards if you want. And that France, Norway, Argentina with Haaland 2 goals parlay. I got in on it. Hopefully some of you did too. But that's off the board now that this other game has started. Canada, the latest line on this Canada-Qatar game. Canada's a big favorite, minus 333. The draw is plus 485, and Qatar is 11-1 for that game. Again, we're going to be live at BP for the show. BP Taylor. All invited. Join us on Thursday at 1 o'clock. And if you want to hang around and make that BP your headquarters wearing your Canada red for the game, I would certainly suggest you do that as well. So this morning, we went in and dove into the U.S. Open. Myself, Pat, and Jake put together our favorite outrights, value plays, some top 10s, top 20s, and whatnot. And we've got a bunch up in the combo cards right now. Here's what we've put together. Our top 20 parlay for the Sunday Sweat Club. Great boost here, too, from the guys. Wow. Xander Schauffele, Cameron Young, Chris Gotterup, boosted from plus 723 to 10-1. There's top 30s and top 40s for this tournament as well. So we went a little deeper for the top 30s. Ricky Fowler, Sepp Straka, and Kurt Kitayama from 14.25 to 25 to 1. And then our top 40, Sung J M, Ryan Fox, and John Kiefer, boosted to 19 to 1. Those are all in the combo cards. And again, don't forget about the Coolbet promo. If you've been doing and following us with the CFL, there's also a golf pool, totally free, $500 to the winner. If you go to Under Sports to Coolbet League, you will see that there's a couple PGA contests for the U.S. Open. The first one is just the PGA Coolbet. That's for PGA members. The Coolbet U.S. Open Pick'em, the one where the Cool Bear is wearing the green shirt and the hat. That's the one you want. Go in there, make your picks, 6 matchups. You just nail down what you think the guys are going to score. Points are distributed, and then you got to come back before tee off of each round and do it again. So you're going to do it 4 times. If you're first, you'll win $500. It is a real good one. It's very easy to do, but I would remind you, set a reminder so you don't miss getting your picks in for one. It's very tough to win if you take a 0 for a round. That is all up there. Pat is coming on tomorrow. We'll talk a little more U.S. Open. The other thing that we'll do is roll out the details for the WST Summer Poker Series, which is going to conclude with a tournament where qualifiers from our tournaments will play for a trip to the Coolbet Open in Estonia. The guys have gone there before. They say it is the trip of the year. So Pat will fill us in on that tomorrow. I'll be looking forward to telling you about it and then playing against all of you. We're going to go Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Going to be 4 tourneys. Top 2 are going to qualify for the final. We'll do that throughout the next couple months, and details tomorrow on the program. And again, if you haven't played a Coolbet before, make sure you just, again, those other contests are completely free. You just have to have an account. And but if you do want to make an account and bet, use WST as your promo code for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. All right. Remo, we actually had a pretty good week last week at Assiniboia Downs.
Yes, I did actually. I started off really slow this year, but last week I had a good one on the 10th and the 9th as well. I finally hit some winners, so I'm in a good mood.
Yeah, I doubled my money on the 10th, which was nice. I had a $11 winner and a $30 winner.
Ooh.
So we're looking good. And you know, it's funny, looking at the track tonight, as we head out to Assiniboia Downs, you can check this all out at hpibet.com. Big fields tonight for the races because, of course, so many of these horses were supposed to go last week on Tuesday when everything got rained out. I'm just going through the list of these races today. Every race has like 7 to 9 horses, which is going to make for some great options when it comes to laying out the picks.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at my history. I had a good day in the 9th because all the races were rained out, and I got all my bets back. But on the 10th, I was up. I think I was up like $12. So I'll take that into tonight, and some big races, maybe some long shots you can certainly win with. But I do have my picks in. I'm on race 2, 5, 6, 7. So I'll be staying up late watching on Assiniboia Downs.
Nice. You know what? Why don't you just roll through your picks while I finish up a couple of them?
Sure. 2, I've bet on this one before. I'm betting to win horse 1, Mr. Dazzle. That is the program selection and AI smart pick. And I'll give a shout out to horse 2 in that one, Curly Asa, who won the WST race a couple of years ago.
Yes, Curly Asa.
Curly Asa. Race 5, I'm taking the trifecta box 1, 6, 9. That is the AI smart pick, going with AI on race 5. Race 6, another trifecta box 4, 5, 10. That's the program selection and AI smart pick. I'll roll with them. And I feel like because there's so many horses, 10 horses in this race, us. Maybe we'll get some pretty good odds. And race 7, I'm going just $3 on horse 1 to win. Maybe I can get the upset over the favorite there in horse 6. But race 1, acknowledge on race 7.
Yeah, I've got the try box on race 6, taillights, Wilco, and designated hitter. I'm not going to take the favorite Judo, I don't. Race number 7, we have Acquire is the third race horse. I'm going to sprinkle on Acquire to win and go with the 6-8 exacta box. Race number 3, bit of a long shot. Little Eddie. I liked Little Eddie. Little Eddie had a nice win for me last year, although I guess it was on a much longer race. You have to read that one. But did you have? Were you tempted to go long shot on Maybella, who's back, Reem?
Oh, Maybella? Oh, I didn't even notice. I was just hovering.
30-1 open, and it has the win percentage at 0. So they're not respecting Maybella. It might be towards the end, but Rugged Rooster, the big favorite on there. We'll go with the win bet on the favorite in race number 3. And I've got a couple little bit. Ooh, I do like Miss Z. Maybe we'll do race 4. We'll go 2, 4, and 7. 2, 4, 7. We'll do a tractor box on that one. So those are the picks. They're going at it tonight. Tomorrow, Western Wednesdays. You can put the cowboy hat on, do the line dancing, ride the mechanical bull like Remis did. And next week, there will be Monday racing. So we'll have picks Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And, of course, you can watch all of it over on YouTube with Kirk and Stretch. I was talking to some girls at the bar last week who said, Huss, I saw you guys in the winner's circle. I said, oh, you guys were there? No, we were just hanging out at home, making some bets, watching it on YouTube. So,
nice. I just got a delivery during the show, Huss. Check this out.
Wow. The Manitoba Mosquitoes hat?
Yes, the Winnipeg Goldeyes alternate identity Manitoba Mosquitoes. I got a delivery today. The hat is in. I guess anyone who pre-ordered merch, they're coming in now. So,
dude, just show that off. Let me see the back of it. Is it a snap?
I got a snapback. Yeah, I'm not risking.
I need that so bad. Okay, turn it around again. We need to see the front. Just put the logo right up to the camera.
Yeah. Oh, the logo, sure.
So sharp. Oh.
What day is it? July 31, alternate identity night.
Yes. Oh, we're going to be seeing those around. They went crazy. Like, so many people wanted that when it dropped. So I'm going to have to get my hands. It's brown and what, like a yellow or a gold?
Yeah, rim? It's brown and a yellow. So I like it. It's got the Manitoba map. I don't really see too many logos. I know the Moose had a shoulder patch with the Manitoba map, but I like the mosquito. Its wings are baseballs. So this is...
It's got a nice batting stance, too.
Oh, yeah? What is that? Like the Tony Batista batting stance? What is that? Gary? It doesn't have legs, so you can't really tell. I just want to reference a good batting stance. But, yeah, it's a pretty sick hat, and well done by the Goldeyes for alternate identity night.
This is the video that they put out when it was coming?
This is the promo video, yeah. On April 1, they announced it. And I know a lot of...
April Fool's joke.
Yeah, some people were like legit mad or thought like, what? You're getting away from the Goldeyes and you're now the Mosquitoes? But no, it's just a one night only. A great branding, I thought. There's the logo.
I love it. Yeah, everyone's loving it in chat as well. I think if you missed out on those, those are New Era, right?
This is a New Era one. Yeah, I don't know if they still have them on. Maybe they'll have some extras in store. I pre-ordered.
I don't know.
I got on it.
It went nuts. It went nuts when. Anyways, shout out to you for doing that. All right, I'm going to get to watch some soccer this afternoon. Great games coming up tonight. Tomorrow, hopefully we'll get Rob Gale back on the program, and had a little bit of a mix-up today. We'll try to get him done tomorrow on the show. And then Brewicki's going to come on tomorrow, I believe. Or no, Brewicki, I think, is going to join us. Tomorrow's Ken.
Ken
Tomorrow.
requested.
Hopefully Rob Gale. And you know what? Maybe I'll see if we can get our pal Feinberg on, talk a little golf, and we can recap some of the glory of our World Cup afternoon last week. Pat will be on it as well tomorrow, and we'll roll out the details of the WST Summer Poker Series and your chance to win a trip to the Coolbet Open. That is going to do it for us today, gang. Big thanks to Mike McIntyre, the Slat Man, Joey Slattery, and Josh Goldberg for coming on the show. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors and all of you for having fun in the chat today. Shout out to all you podcast listeners as well. We will do it all up again tomorrow, but don't forget CFL 110 tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Hammer's back. Myself, Jeff, Connor will be popping in as well, I'm sure, as he'll be producing the show. Join us for a lot of CFL talk while the Bombers are on the bye. And, of course, tomorrow, 1 p.m. right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have a great night.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.